Hello there, Ray here, and today guys we have a brand new snapshot for 1.15. This is 19W38A. Now this snapshot contains a lot of technical changes, which is the bulk of this snapshot, as well as they actually did quite a few bug fixes, which are pretty major, as these have to do with entities and writing entities, and players using ender pearls to teleport. Now the command changes are really going to help people that enjoy making maps as well as command blocks, because they have to do with making them more precise and allowing you to do more customization with them. But what fascinates me the most about this snapshot is actually the bug fixes that they did. So I'm actually going to go over the bug fixes first and then over the command changes. And if you guys enjoy testing out the newest snapshots, we do open up our testing server every Wednesday and Friday to the viewers of our stream. And tonight we will be streaming testing out the new changes. And some of these changes have to do with some of the farms we have been trying to build in the past that didn't work. So now they should work. So we will definitely be trying to build those up tonight. I'd love to see all you guys there. It should be a lot of fun. And you can get informed of when we stream by following my social links down below. Now let's get into all those bug fixes. The first one of the bug fix that I was really dedicated in trying to get fixed, which is when a thrown ender pearl is in the air, it will disappear after relogging and you don't get teleported. Now there's a lot of different circumstances that this apply, but essentially if you throw ender pearl up and then you would relog, the ender pearl would hit the ground, but you wouldn't get teleported. So let's give this a try. Throw ender pearl up here. I'll just stand over here right before it hits the ground. I'll go ahead and pause the game and relog. Here, log back in. It should teleport us. Yes, it did. Yeah, it even teleports you when you're creative. So that's really good. There's another part about this bug that they fixed as well, which is when you throw a pearl up and then you unload the chunks and then the chunks are reloaded, it won't teleport you. This is actually a problem I ran into while trying to build up my obsidian farm. I wanted so my player would come to the obsidian platform and throw an ender pearl and have it land near the exit end portal. That way he could go into the exit end portal and leave the end dimension. Then I could come back and hop through the entrance end portal and regenerate the obsidian for the obsidian farm. So with this bug now being fixed, we should be able to actually take that idea and expand upon it. This will also allow us to be able to do more cool things with ender pearls, like make ender pearl stasis chambers, as well as make pearl cannons more precise. So I'm really glad they fixed this and I'm excited to mess around with it. They also said that they have changed their rendering system and they ask if you guys notice anything graphically odd to tell them about it. And I just noticed something odd, which is if you look at this ice piece here and as I scroll, see how it is like switching the shading on the sides, like right here the shading is on the right hand side and right here the shading is on the left hand side. So I'll go ahead and I'll make a bug report this because they're asking anybody who finds weird stuff like this to make a bug report about it. And you can find the bug report down below. Something I noticed right away that changed in this version is the outline around blocks is more darker and more defined. You kind of see here on this dandelion how dark that line is. It probably has to do something with those changes that they said they made. They also fixed a bug to do with lily pads producing actually twice as many particles as they're supposed to. If you guys don't know, when there's a boat on top of a lily pad, it'll automatically break it off. So by placing a lily pad on water or either ice, then having a boat on top of it, it will immediately break off, but you can see the particles that come off of it. And you can actually see the number of particles by pulling up F3, and this P over here is the number of particles. So if I put down a lily pad right here, you can see it doesn't really make that many. They also fixed a bug to do with when you're riding like a horse or even riding like a boat and you travel and then you hop out and then your boat or your horse just vanishes. And I know a lot of guys were complaining about that recently, but they said they now have fixed that, which is cool. They also fixed a problem that you had with both horses and boats when you travel kind of far and then you get out and all of a sudden you see the boat like zip all the way back to where it came from. Whoa, just did it. Supposedly they fixed this bug, but it looks like it just did in front of our eyes. And there it goes back to the other side again. Yeah, so it seems like there's still some problems with this, but they did try to fix it in this version. They also fixed a problem when you guys were like in a boat and you hop out and your player would be placed on top of the boat and you kind of glitch inside of it. Right there, I dismounted from a boat and now I'm stuck inside of the boat, which must be right underneath me. So it looks like they still have some problems to do with the boat glitching out and putting the player on top of the boat as well, because the boat's right here. See, I'm pushing the boat. I'm actually pushing the boat. Oh, now the boat thinks he's over here. Okay. They also fixed a bug when the player would mount like a minecart or boat, and then they would travel really far out into unloaded chunks. And then if you're like on a multiplayer server, people would actually see the player in the original location where he jumped into the boat or minecart rather than where he's currently at. And you can see this in some of my old videos where we have flying machines with players traveling on top of them. They also fixed a bug to do with pillagers not despawning. And with the new game rules that they have added, so there's a game rule for fire damage. They made it so that this also applies to magma blocks. There was also a lot of lag created from pillagers when they were trying to pathfind. It's actually causing an excessive amount of lag, and they have now fixed that. Now, when a raid comes into the world, they now change it so that the horn that comes from the raid will now only sound at the village and where the raid is occurring. Before, it was making that same sound at all the villages in the world if they were loaded. And this is something that we came across while doing some testing when building up our raid farms. In this snapshot, they fixed a few bugs, but they also added quite a few technical changes. All these changes really have to do is making commands more precise. So the first one is that loot table predicates can now be defined by separate files used from entity selectors and an execute if command. Predicates just mean that a command can either be true or false. So under this, it added some general purpose storage for data commands, as well as extended the advancement and looting table predicates. This allows you to be more precise with commands and allow it to only affect certain things. You also can do this with the loot commands. So if you do /loot, you can see that you can specify exactly what you want to have. Fish kill, loot mine. They also added an extended scheduling command to allow scheduling functions multiple times. Rather than having to write the same function a couple times, you can just schedule it so that it will repeat that same one multiple times. They also tweaked the entity predicates. So now when you're ever working with the players, you can actually change it so that it looks for specific information to do with the player. So you can make it so that any command will only give it if a player has a certain amount of levels, or if he's in a certain game mode, or his stats are a certain amount, or if he has unlocked certain recipes, or even if he has certain advancements. You can see how this can be very useful for map makers. And if a player has completed certain advancements in their map, as you could also make custom advancements, then they can automatically move on to the next one. They also did a similar thing to blocks and fluids. Block and fluids can have exact fluid ID to match, so you can now have it so that the block or the fluid needs the exact block or fluid ID to match, as well as you can tag any block or fluid and use their NBT tags so you can get exact matches as well. You can also add a state to it, which is something where you can give it some custom properties. They also added this precision to do with lighting as well, so you can actually wait until a block is a certain light level, and only then it will be affected by a command. Commands also have data, and there's a data command. So you do data get store, and then you get to choose a target, and then there's a path as well as a scale. I'm not really big into commands, but it seems you can use this to store information about a specific block or entity. And this will be saved across dimensions as well as when the world is reloaded. You know, sometimes you get some information off of an entity and then you have to save it over to your clipboard or something. This allows you to save it in game. There's also a schedule command where you can amend or replace. So you can go into your functions and kind of tweak them within inside the game. So here you can look for a specific function name, and then this is how much time you want to wait before running that function. The last one allows you to append or replace it. You can choose between days, seconds, or game ticks. You can also remove special scheduling between different functions. They also changed the kill command, so now it'll automatically default to the person who is running it. If I do /kill, it's just going to kill me, when before you'd have to type in your name in order for it to work. They also added custom predicates, so you have conditions that are part of looting tables that can now be defined as separate data pack resources in predicates directory. So depending on what data pack you're running, you can have different loot tables and allows you to customize it more. They also changed the loot tables so you can actually change where the loot will come from. So instead of loot when you're killing a mob coming directly inside of the mob, you can have it to pop up somewhere else. There's also a time check condition, and it just allows you to check the day. So you can have a map that only has it, so like a door only opens up after a certain amount of days go by. This just gives more freedom to map makers to be able to do a lot more without having to have in-game delays and timers and redstone in the world. This all can be done through the functions. And it has parameters such as value, which needs a special value in order to go off. It also uses the period parameter. And they came out with new conditions, which are references. And this reference includes conditions defined by the predicates directory of the data pack selected with name parameter. Not too sure what that means, but it sounds like you can actually maybe put in your own predicates that have a custom name. The majority of the changes in this version were pretty much technical changes. Now they also came out with some bug fixes. And as I don't work too much with commands, I probably won't be using these new changes that much. But maybe if they allow me to select certain things more easily, we can be able to use them for testing and other things. Overall, the snapshot was very technical, but as you can see, this is going to be very useful for those who enjoy doing commands as well as functions. And I'm really excited about the bug fixes that they did. As you can tell, this group of bug fixes were all kind of similar, had to do with entities and some of them not being positioned correctly or loading correctly. And Minecon is coming up on the 28th of September, and that is the time they're going to give off the main announcement of what 1.15 is going to be all about. But in the meantime, I'm really enjoying these type of snapshots where they're coming in and adding features, even if it's not survival features, as well as fixing major bugs. And let me know what you guys think about these type of snapshots. Are you guys okay if they don't come out with tons of new features, especially for like your survival players? Are you glad that they're trying to fix these kind of major bugs that have been in the game for quite a while? You can tell me all that down in the comments. But I'm really excited to go ahead and try out these new changes, like I said, with that obsidian farm that we went ahead and designed in the past. It should be interesting to see if we can get it working, and we will be doing that tonight during the stream. And if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to go ahead and leave a like as well as share with others so they can learn about all the new changes in the snapshots. And if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to go and do that and hit the notification so you get notified of when every new video comes out. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.